Hi, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to talk to you about the escalating situation between the United States and Iran. The USA has now launched attacks against multiple cities in Iran, and in response to this, Iran has stated that there will be a crushing retaliation. Now, we're seeing reports of explosions in countries where the United States has military bases, including Kuwait, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar. So it does look like Iran is escalating further than it did when the USA launched attacks back in the summer of 2025. So in this video, I want to go through what's happened. We'll hear directly from Donald Trump, who's posted onto Truth Social about this. He's posted a video, unusually, and then we'll look at what this could mean for the global economy. Now, as I just mentioned, we've seen direct airstrikes from the USA on Iran, but this potentially is no longer just about Iran, as it's affecting multiple cities and potentially multiple countries, which significantly increases the risks of escalation, because once activity spreads across different locations, it becomes much more difficult to contain. So let's have a look at what Donald Trump has said.
A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world.
So as you've just heard, this is the starting point, a clear confirmation that the USA has moved from rhetoric to direct military action. And once that line has been crossed, it considerably increases the risks.
Iran is the world's #1 state sponsor of terror and just recently killed tens of thousands of its own citizens on the street as they protested. It has always been the policy of the United States, in particular, my administration, that this terrorist regime can never have a nuclear weapon. I'll say it again, they can never have a nuclear weapon.
So what you've just heard there is a core justification. Iran has been framed as the sponsor of both terrorism and a future nuclear threat, which is important because this narrative supports the decision for the USA to act now.
But Iran refused, just as it has for decades and decades. They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, and we can't take it anymore. Instead, they attempted to rebuild their nuclear program and to continue developing long-range missiles that can now threaten our very good friends and allies in Europe, our troops stationed overseas, and could soon reach the American homeland.
So what you've just heard there is that the USA did attempt diplomacy. There were a number of meetings held between the US and Iran, but ultimately those discussions failed. And historically, this is the point where conflicts escalate, because once negotiations are exhausted, military action becomes the default option.
To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or, in the alternative, face certain death. Finally, to the great proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations. For many years, you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight. Now you have a president who is giving you what you want. So let's see how you respond. America is backing you with overwhelming strength and devastating force. Now is the time to seize control of your destiny and to unleash the prosperous and glorious future that is close within your reach. This is the moment for action. Do not let it pass.
Now, what you've just heard there is a significantly more serious discussion, because This is no longer just about military strikes to take out those nuclear bunkers. This is about direct warning to the leadership, combined with a call for regime change. And history shows that once regime change becomes part of the objective, these situations tend to last longer and become much more complicated.
For these reasons, the United States military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation to prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship from threatening America and our core national security interests. We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated. We're going to annihilate their Navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world.
So what we've just heard in the final clip today is the strongest language of all, because this signals a willingness to escalate potentially much further. And this is exactly the kind of rhetoric that creates global uncertainty. So at this point, I think there are three possible outcomes. The first is containment, that this conflict remains limited, tensions rise, but it doesn't escalate outside of Iran and comes to a conclusion. The second is a broader regional conflict in the Middle East, and this appears potentially more likely given the report of multiple explosions in multiple countries. And the third is a full escalation, and that's where you're looking at a prolonged conflict, potentially involving multiple countries, and this has much wider consequences. So what does all of this mean for the global economy? Well, the first and most obvious impact is going to be on oil prices. Iran is a major producer of oil, and the Middle East is central to global energy supply. So any disruption, or even the threat of disruption, will push oil prices higher. And if key routes for the transport of oil, like the Strait of Hormuz, are affected, we could see a sharp spike in oil prices. The second impact is going to be on the financial markets. Markets do not like uncertainty, and this conflict creates a lot of it. So typically what we see is that the equity markets are likely to fall, and investors will move into safer assets such as gold. The third impact will be on inflation, because higher energy costs will feed into the wider economy, and that puts pressure on central banks. And as you'll know, lots of central banks have been trying to bring inflation down over the past couple of years. So if this now pushes inflation back up, there is a risk that we will see interest rates going back up again. And the final impact will be on global trade. Shipping routes, insurance costs, and supply chains could all be affected by this conflict. And obviously that will be bad news in terms of the amount of global trade, and also on prices and inflation, and therefore on interest rates. So the key takeaway of today's video is that the current situation in Iran is escalating, and it now appears that it could spread beyond the boundaries of Iran. It could bring in lots of other Middle Eastern countries if Iran starts attacking all of those military bases that are located there, and that significantly increases the risks. And once these type of conflicts begin, they rarely stay contained. So it will be interesting to see what happens and whether or not more countries are drawn in. We know that Israel is already involved, but other countries in the Middle East could also get drawn into this. And if it does develop into a wider conflict, then more countries may get involved, and hopefully this doesn't escalate into something much bigger. But I wanted to make this video today just to bring you up to speed on what's going on and to talk about the potential implications for the global economy. So hopefully you found today's video useful, informative, and thought-provoking. If you've liked what I've said, then please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Don't forget, I'm currently running my competition whereby you can win my property or a cash alternative prize. So if you'd like to get involved in that and support the channel, then please scan the QR code on the screen now or click the link in the description below. Thank you so much to everyone that's supported me in other ways. If you bought me a coffee or sent me YouTube super thanks or signed up as a patron or a member, really appreciate that support. Thank you so much. And here's something to put a smile on your face.